Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Art of Lifing with Keka, the at-home edition. So, over the last few days, I've had several conversations with entrepreneurs who typically would be selling products or businesses or services during this time. And many of them have said, how can I possibly go out and sell anything to anybody at this time? I feel like I would be totally tone deaf to do that. And I feel like, in the midst of a global pandemic, as we find ourselves in right now, it's really quite natural to worry about coming across as being selfish or um, feeling guilty about laughing or being happy about something when we know that there are people around the world that are suffering immensely. And even in our own circles, there might be people that are feeling happy today and others that are feeling quite sad. And so, what is the right way for us to address people and the right way for us to feel? So, in the context of that, I wanted to share a little bit about my own experience when I was younger. I'm drawing upon that today in terms of where I am. So, I've shared with people publicly that I lost my father when I was in high school in an accident. He was taken to the hospital, and I had 2 precious weeks with him before he passed away. So, it all happened very suddenly, and my whole world had immediately just turned upside down. And, you know, in the weeks and months right after my father had passed away, quite honestly, it didn't feel real for me. I felt like my dad could walk home any minute. I felt like, oh, maybe he was on a business trip or he was on vacation, and any minute he would walk through the front door, and I'd be like, "Hey, Dad, you're back." And so I felt a real sense of numbness, like, and it just didn't feel real to me. And so I actually, in that process, also felt guilty because I started to think, did I love my father? Because shouldn't I be sad now if I loved him because he's passed away? Um, I felt guilty that I just wasn't feeling what I should be feeling, that I was just incredibly numb instead. Well, fast forward about 6 months or so, and like all of the emotions hit me like a tidal wave. And there were many nights that I would go to bed crying, feeling so much pain from the loss of my dad, crying myself to sleep at night. And I didn't share that openly with everybody because I didn't want to pull people down. I didn't want to bring them down. So, you know, life continues no matter where we are, even in the midst of a pandemic. We're still cooking, we're still taking care of the people around us who need it. We're still doing things. So at that time with my mom and my brother, we would sit at the dinner table, we would have dinner, we'd watch TV, or whatever our normal was at the time. I didn't want to pull them down. So much of the time I really, I wouldn't say, yeah, I suffered on my own. I didn't really want to share it with anybody because I didn't want to burden them with the pain that I was feeling. What was interesting though in that process was that that sense of normalcy, even in the midst of that pain, was so critical. And it's just part of us being human. So I remember being at our temple or going to different community events where I'd be talking to my friends, and maybe we'd be laughing. I might even have a big belly laugh in the process. And then one of the women in the community, one of the aunties that we would say in our community, would come up to me and wanted to pay their condolences. But I might have had a smile on my face because I was talking about something fun with my friends, but then they would come up and they'd give me this really sad look. And suddenly I felt obligated to, take away the smile off my face. And then I almost felt like I needed to pretend to be sad because I didn't necessarily feel sad in that very moment, but I needed to reciprocate what they were feeling. And I thought, this is a fake sadness. This doesn't feel right. And they would look at me and say, I'm so sorry you lost your father. And at that point, I realized that it was just my social duty to reciprocate. And I would say, thank you so much. Um, and that experience made me realize that, because we are all human, when we are in the face of a crisis or we're in the face of something where we're feeling extreme pain, there are so many moments where we can feel happiness, we can feel a sense of joy, we might feel uh, gratitude, we might feel happy in some other way, even though deep down we feel really sad. That was my reality at that time, was that I was grieving the loss of my dad in a really profound way deep down inside of me. But on the surface, I was still living life. And, I remember a friend of mine, when I'd gone to a birthday party, she had said to somebody, I can't believe Keka's going to a birthday party. Her father just passed away a couple of months ago. What does that say about her? That doesn't look good. And I'm sure that she didn't mean it in a hurtful way. I think that sometimes we get into a pattern of judgment, and that might have happened at that point. But, truth be told, in that moment, I actually felt quite hurt. Simply because she didn't know my reality. So I went to the birthday party, and I had a fun time there. But she didn't see the many nights that I sat in my room feeling totally empty, feeling my dad's loss in such a big way. And so I'm sharing these stories with you because in the midst of the pandemic, there are many people around the world right now that are facing profound loss. Many frontline workers who are doing everything within their power to help other people. And in the face of this sort of crisis of not being able to do the things we want to do, not being able to help the people we want to, not being able to see the people we want to, where our total normal has been turned upside down, it's completely natural for us to feel like I shouldn't be happy right now. I shouldn't be laughing. If I'm having some fun, I should maybe feel a sense of guilt for all the people that are out there that are not experiencing this. Or just pure confusion as to whether I should even go out and sell what I have to offer. Is that the right thing to do? Is it tone deaf or not? But I'm sharing this with you because in the face of those questions, what I would like to remind all of us to come back to is that we are human, and our emotions are not singular. We don't just only feel one emotion at one time. We are complex human beings, and our emotions have many levels of complexity as well. Which means that even in the midst of chaos, there are times where we need to feel a sense of normalcy. There are times where we need to take a break from the pain we're feeling and laugh at something. And so if you're in a place where you're serving a community, if you've got customers or clients and you're thinking, I don't want to be tone deaf, I don't know what the right thing to do is, my personal experience that I'm drawing from, but also the crisis communications experience I've had for so many years, when I draw upon those, what I say is this: look at the audience that you're speaking to and meet them where they are. Meet them where they're at. So, to my beautiful aunties who were giving me condolences back then with so much love, what I would say today is, look at my facial expression at that time. Was I sad or was I happy? They could still come and give me their best and tell me they're thinking of me, but they didn't necessarily have to come from a place of sadness where then I felt the pressure to reciprocate a fake sadness and say. So today too, if you're selling a product or a service, I feel like if you look at your customers and look at where they're at and what they need and come from a genuine perspective of wanting to serve, people will connect to that. We need a sense of normalcy in some of our things. Some industries need to really ramp up their business while others are really taking a step back and pausing. Where are you in that ecosystem? And the people you serve, where are they? How are they feeling emotionally? If you can connect to them and come from a place of service, then you're not going to be seen as tone deaf. You're going to be seen as somebody who's caring. And I'm just going to leave you with one other thought. During this pandemic, we've seen a lot of people who give away a lot of free products or services in this ability to serve our community together, which I think is amazing. But I've also come across many entrepreneurs who are not in a place to be able to give everything away for free because they won't be able to provide for their family and for themselves. And I've seen many of them feeling guilty, like feeling pressure that they have to give everything away for free. And my thought to that is that if you are able to give something away for free during this time and service the community, that's amazing. But if you're not, we don't need to feel guilty about that, because if we all gave things away for free in the long run, none of us would be sustainable. So we're all in this together. That's the incredible thing about this global pandemic, is that it brings our entire world together and shows how interconnected we are. And so if you're in a place where you need to charge for your services or your products, I think we should be able to do that without feeling guilty. But the most important thing we need to do is not look at this purely from our personal gain and our perspective, but really to look at where our customers are, meet them where they are, have a real connected conversation with our customers, and look at how we can best serve them and serve ourselves together. Because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Please keep well. Please keep safe. Sending you all my love, and I'll see you next time.